Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? So welcome to Social Innovation Summit. I'm glad to be here with you today. Have one of the coolest jobs in the world, like most of us in this space, but I get to head up community impact for Comcast NBCUniversal. And I think it's incredible that we're right here sitting in the heart of CES while all of us are thinking about how we're defining our purpose, how are we basically lining up our businesses to do some great things. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the business of impact, how we define that at Comcast. And I joined the company a couple years ago and been studying it and thinking through how we define our role in this space. So when you're looking to do this work, and we heard it for those of you that joined us for the breakfast panel, you first have to look at what makes you a great business, what defines you, what's your core competence. And so when I think of Comcast NBCUniversal, well, first thing that comes to mind is our incredible reach. So this slide, it's somewhat overwhelming, and it still is overwhelming and amazing to me, but it highlights a slate of the incredible brands that I get to work with in my role. So NBC, who's bringing out incredible shows like The Voice or This Is Us, presenting the Olympics. Telemundo, the #1 Spanish language primetime network. Our Universal Studios, bringing franchises like Fast and the Furious, Despicable Me, our parks, our incredible Xfinity brand, the digital assets we have, Fox Media, BuzzFeed. My head is always spinning about how we bring this to work. But again, what this slide does simply is speak to that reach that we have, and that 90% of US households are being touched by one of our brands every single month. And when you think about the power of that reach to build awareness for social issues we care about, to bring voice and reach to those that are often unheard, I mean, it's an incredible challenge and both opportunity in how we think about bringing that to life. So reach being one of the incredible things that, resources we get to think about in terms of our community impact work. Second is our technology. So most people think of Comcast, and we've heard it before, we're just a cable company. Well, I definitely want to challenge that convention. Just yesterday, here at CES, we announced that we're expanding connected home capability to over 15 million customers at no additional cost. So what does that mean? Right now, in every single home, there are about an average of 12 connected devices, 10, 12 connected devices. And it sounds high at first blush, although I would imagine this crowd over-indexes on that a bit. But if you think about the smartphone, your roommate's smartphone, your kids, the smart TV, desktop, et cetera, it's easy to get to that number. Not only that, we know that consumption is increasing. So by 2020, there'll be on average 50 connected devices in the home. And while each of these devices is being selected to do some service, make things more convenient, we know it's going to be a hot mess if you had 50 apps to interface with to control these devices. And Connected Home allows you to, one, choose the device that makes the most sense for you. It's meeting your need, addresses your lifestyle, fits your aesthetic, but it simply is managed on one interface, one device, and they can talk to one another. And while this is incredible from a convenience standpoint and cool factor, we know that this asset is completely transformative for many people, and we're excited to bring that to market. Not only from an energy efficiency perspective, but also all of us know someone with a disability or someone who's living in a mobile at home. This type of technology is game-changing, and I'm proud that our engineers think about people with disabilities and other segments of the population as we build our product so that there's, again, business value, but also a social value. And we're excited, again, to bring that technology to make a smart home an even more intelligent home. So I talked about technology, I talked about our reach, and of course there's a talent that empowers all of that. And we've been fortunate to have a long history of volunteerism and service, but I think our true power is the talent that's bringing the creativity to our content, the talent that's bringing some of that technology to market. These are three incredible assets that define our brand, that help my team and Community Impact figure out how are we going to take all of this and direct those resources to communities and issues we care about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we did that with our Internet Essentials program. And I'm glad to say our Internet Essentials team is joining us today. But A few years ago, right, we're the largest broadband provider. It makes sense that we want to commit to closing the digital divide. In fact, Dan Ratner earlier today had a great personal story about how this touched someone he was working with. But 25% of U.S. households don't have an internet connection at home. And some people say, well, if you think about rural areas and where the internet is not built out, maybe that's not so bad. But I think the astounding point here, and even disturbing point, is 75% of those households are in urban metros, where most people in the world live, where most of us in this room probably live, and to be so close to that supposedly level playing field, that incredible resource, knowledge, education that's available on the internet, and to not have it is obviously disturbing. And while the internet was meant and touted as being this great equalizer, we know that not having access to it means you're not on a path of economic mobility, and it's very difficult to move beyond that. So our team got together, looked at our research, listened to our community partners, listened to potential customers about what was holding people back. We knew that price was an issue, so we definitely had to create a product that was being brought to the market at a price point that made sense. 2, even if I could do that, we knew equipment was an issue, so we make sure we complemented that with discounted laptops. And many of our community partners, and we work with over 9,000 across the country, we're also gifting free equipment, outfitting computer labs, because we know this equipment issue is huge. And more importantly, digital literacy training. So when I have that laptop and that connectivity, how do I access the tools that I need? The internet can be an overwhelming place. And doing something as simple as creating an email address, learning how to navigate, can again be really life-changing for someone who's been cut off from these resources in the past. We've been successful with this. We've connected 1 million households over the past 5 years. 4 million individuals now have internet access in the home, and that wasn't as possible before. We want to continue to work on closing this digital divide because we do feel like it's a big gap, but we know that access alone is not enough. And we just heard a lot about this on the last panel, but a lot of our work, we want to make sure that when we're doing that digital training, we're really focused on skills. So 90% of good jobs, living wage jobs, every single industry now requires some level of digital skill set. Low, medium, high, it varies. But just think about it. What it takes to be a cashier today is very different than what it took 20 years ago. What it takes to be on an assembly line, very different than what it was 10 years ago. So as industries are becoming more digitized, if we're not making sure that people have these digital skill sets, beyond just basic digital literacy training, we're leaving a generation of people behind. And we can't really be excited about this digital innovation economy we're creating if we're saying we're going to do it by leaving our most vulnerable populations behind. That's not acceptable. So we know building on that, starting with access, really digging deep into skills in our digital literacy training, going beyond that is definitely a way for us to get people involved and starting to be fully participate in the digital economy, which is what we want. But the other thing about digitization is not only do we want people to be able to use these skill sets, find good jobs, if we really want technology to be as empowering as we believe it can be, we have to have a way for people to think about owning technology and creating with technology. And so beyond access and skills, we do think technology is a path for innovation. Innovation can happen anywhere. And all of us have to believe that, not just the coast, not just in Silicon Valley, but the tools haven't always been there. So we want young people, adults to believe that they too can create. So 2 social entrepreneurs here on the page. Felicia Hatcher, who some of you may know, incredible entrepreneur, hails from Miami, started a lot of the startup tech ecosystem that now exists. She's been an incredible voice for women of color, accessing VC capital, and she's been a strong proponent of diversity in tech. But for her, it wasn't enough. She basically built out coding boot camps and helped kids, younger people understand how to create with technology. And more importantly, I can create an app, I can be an entrepreneur, and I can monetize that skill set. And I didn't have to be part of a network to do that. And she's been continuing that work in an incredible way. Dan Roten, the second picture, he's from HopeWorks, which is in Camden, New Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia. He's working with a lot of young high school age kids who haven't been fortunate enough to have a lot of coaching and training over their background. And he started surveying employers in that Philly-Camden area about what types of jobs would people think differently about hiring them for. And beyond sort of people getting over that unconscious bias that we just heard about, there were some very tangible skill sets. So he started building classes around website development, around GIS mapping, and that made all the difference and helped these kids get employed, broaden their horizons, and they're contributing to Camden, but also those employers are very grateful to have these employees. And I think that's an incredible story about how skills and innovation and promoting entrepreneurship makes a huge difference in the work that we do. And definitely we're going to continue to build out that portfolio of work. The other thing we're doing with these two players is using a lot of our reach that I talked about to tell some of the amazing stories that these social entrepreneurs have. So we were able to work with them to create video packages that really get down to that human element of the people they're touching. And in fact, with Dan's story, he was able to raise an additional $400,000 in capital. So we were thankful that he was a partner in that, but that we were able to, again, bring that awareness to unheard voices. Finally, I want to talk about a program we just launched this week that also is about promoting entrepreneurship. So 3 of the industries we get to play in are media, entertainment, and connectivity. And we're building out an accelerator in our headquarters, our global headquarters in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For those of you who haven't been there, I invite you to come see the excitement. It truly is a tech center, and we're opening up a new state-of-the-art facility later this year. But inside that facility will be this incredible accelerator. It'll be backed by the incredible proven model of the folks at Techstars. One-on-one mentoring will be involved. More importantly, all those incredible brands I talked about at the beginning will have product experts, technology experts, media experts, marketing, data analysts who will be able to help the businesses that ultimately become part of this accelerator grow and scale in ways that they never thought imaginable. And again, we know that there's a lot these entrepreneurs can learn from Comcast NBCUniversal, but we're also looking to learn a lot from them as well. So application period is open, so check out lift.comcast.com. A lot of the ideas I'm excited to see is what will come in around smart cities. Some of you may be familiar with our work on Machine Q, which is an exciting area that we're working on, and that really does talk about the intersection of business and social impact in a way that makes sense for us. So I hope a couple of these examples give you an idea of how we think about it at Comcast and how really the business of impact is about starting with the thing that you do well, the special sauce that makes your company who it is, often is what's driving your success and profitability, and unlocking that value towards the communities that we're all trying to serve. That's how you get this work done. So I welcome all of you. Join us. Our team is here from Community Impact, Jillian Neasley, Monique Carr as well. We have our Internet Essentials team. We're happy to talk about Connected Home. We definitely want people to join us in this process, but also we want people to be really thoughtful about defining your purpose and thinking about how to do this work well when you're talking about leveraging technology for good. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and look forward to working with you.